And one thing, you know, if you talked, you mentioned we talked 20 years ago, and I'm going to get to that, but you should have known 20 years ago. You're not going to out-talk me, so let me ask my question. I'll let you talk, then I'll go back to the next
Goes both
point.
ways, yeah.
All right.
Reverend Al Sharpton, you just can't seem to get enough of him. He is by far one of the biggest race hustlers in the entire United States. Everything he talks about, it involves race, and he just can't help himself because, in my view, he's a racist. He'll deny it, but I believe he is, and that's just my opinion. He had a conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy, the GOP candidate for the presidency of the United States, and Al brought up that Vivek made a comment about Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, basically saying her and an author, last name Kendi, or the name Kendi, I don't know who that person is. Vivek said basically they were modern-day versions of the KKK, and Sharpton didn't like it. He was unhappy about it, so basically I believe he's calling Vivek a racist. But here's a bit of their conversation, and listen to the whole thing because Al Sharpton seems to forget things that Democrats have said about Donald Trump.
The Politics Nation. According to a brand new Wall Street Journal poll out today that was conducted entirely after the first Republican presidential debate and mostly after the release of Donald Trump's Fulton County mugshot, the former president holds a whopping 46-point lead over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis among GOP primary voters, 59 to 13%. My next guest is also somewhere on that list, but with much less support, with 5%. Joining me now is 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. First of all, thank you for being here and engaging us in this conversation. I want to start with comments you made repeatedly now, referring to Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and author Ibram Kendi as, quote, grand wizards of the modern KKK. Now, I understand you differ with both of them politically and probably with me. But as a graduate of Harvard and Yale universities, I believe you must be aware the Ku Klux Klan is not a political party. It's a terrorist organization. Historians view the Klan as the driving force behind lynchings of blacks in the American South, more than 4,000 people murdered from 1877 to 1950. And the group is linked to numerous other acts of racial violence continuing through the civil rights movement to the present day. You're running to be the leader of the free world, so your choice of words matter. Have you taken any time to reflect upon the possibility that comparing your political rivals to murderous terrorists might put their lives in danger at a time when hate crimes are on the rise? Or do you just don't care?
So Reverend Sharpton, I don't look at the world through political parties. Frankly, it's good to see it's been 20 years since we last spoke. And part of the reason that I came to that event 20 years ago with you is that you were a political outsider just like I am in my own party. But let me talk about the issue you're actually asking about, which is that, you know, what's toxic about that old worldview of organizations like the KKK, which have been a god-awful stain on our national history, is that they say that your skin color determines what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to think. To say you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told because you're black or brown-skinned. Well, you know what Ayanna Pressley said much more recently is that we don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. And so, yes, I do think there are echoes of a historical ugly racism in this country now showing up in new clothing.
To say we
and
don't
what I want to lead us to as the next president
just a second.
is a
to say
united
that we
nation
do not want
where we
black
don't actually
voices,
judge each other on the color of our
to say
skin.
that is not going with sheets and burning crosses and lynching people. if she said something you disagree with,
the point I'm making,
you cannot equate Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan with somebody saying something that you think is a little controversial or a little too far. Some of our relatives were terrorized by the Ku Klux Klan. I'm trying to get you to understand.
So to wrap all that up into one little bit, Sharpton seems to think that Ramaswamy was way off base by saying they were modern versions of the KKK. I honestly don't know what they said for Ramaswamy to say that. But Sharpton said just because you don't like something someone else says, it doesn't give you the right to call them KKK or modern day racist or whatever. But what Al Sharpton fails to understand, and he seems to forget, that Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House of Representatives, called Donald Trump basically the Grand Wizard of the KKK. So either he forgot about it, or he just thinks it's okay that if a Democrat says it, it's fine. But if a Republican says it, it's no good. So here's a clip with CNN, of all media outlets, talking to Hakeem Jeffries about what he said. And he doesn't deny he said it.
Do you regret going that far in your comments on Monday?
With respect to the comments of a few days ago, we've got to have an opportunity for at least one day a year to have a candid, if sometimes uncomfortable, conversation about race. Seems to me that we can't have that conversation on Valentine's Day. We can't have that conversation on St. Patrick's Day. It's perhaps appropriate for us to be able to have that difficult discussion on MLK Day when we're celebrating the life and legacy of a champion for racial and social justice.
Yes, but you called the president the Grand Wizard, meaning of the KKK. That's language of the KKK. You think the president of the United States is connected to the KKK? He's a Klansman?
Absolutely not. And as you know, Allison, I did not use the words racist in any of my comments. In fact, Wolf Blitzer in the past has asked me whether I believe the president is a racist, and I've consistently said no. I did use a colorful phrase, but of course I don't believe that the president is a card-carrying member of the KKK, but it did capture a troubling pattern of racially insensitive and outrageous at times behavior in the alt-right.
You make good points. And I think that after Charlottesville, it was you who said that the president was a racial arsonist, meaning, I assume, that he inflames racial tensions. And I think that all of that is demonstrably true, as you've just pointed out. But, you know, the Grand Wizard, I mean, the reason that I ask you about it is because you call it colorful language, but, you know, isn't that inflaming the situation? Is that helpful, likening someone to the head of the KKK?
Well, I think, as I just pointed out, I do not believe that the president is a card-carrying member of the KKK, but he has presided over and engaged in directly a series of racially insensitive remarks. We cannot whitewash.
So when she said to him, you called Trump the Grand Wizard, you meant the KKK, and you saw the smirk on his face, he didn't deny saying it, but he did say, I didn't call Trump a racist. I don't think he's a card-carrying member of the KKK. But he didn't take back his words. So he meant what he said. He meant that Donald Trump is a member of the KKK, and he's the president, and he's behind all of the racial injustice that we see today. But you cannot tell Al Sharpton something like that, because Al Sharpton doesn't think any Democrat is a racist, doesn't think any black person is a racist. It's only the white people, the Caucasians, who are the racist ones. We are the ones out on the streets shooting black people, robbing black stores, robbing black homes. It's the white person, which we all know that's absolute insanity. Hakeem Jeffries said the President of the United States is the Grand Wizard of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and the Democrats are okay with it. Al Sharpton's okay with it. Joe Biden's okay with it. They're all fine. But Vivek Ramaswamy made a point about the Congresswoman from Mass and the author for whatever they said. saying that that was modern day KKK, and Al Sharpton basically lost his mind. How dare you say something about an African American that's racist? You know African Americans are racist, and Al Sharpton will be the first person to tell you that. That's how insane all this political racial shit is. We see it every single day, especially in this White House. They don't care. Black people are killing black people every single day all over the country. I don't know how many times I have to say it. New York, Chicago, Pennsylvania, California, Seattle, and I'm pretty sure there's more and more and more, but the crime that we're seeing and the murders that we're seeing are black on black crime, and the Democrats do not say one word about it because they're okay with it. Even Al Sharpton is okay with it. But as soon as a white person is involved with a crime against a black person, the entire white race is racist. Everybody's members of the KKK. We're all no good. It's racial injustice. The blacks are left behind. How much more of this nonsense do we have to listen to? The Democratic Party pushes race throughout every single campaign they do. When they're running for office, if it's a black Democrat, it's all about race. And if it's a white Democrat, they're trying to solve racial injustice for the black community. None of them have any idea what they're talking about. Al Sharpton will be at the forefront of any event where a black person was injured or killed, especially by a white police officer. Because according to the Democrats, the entire Democratic Party, every police officer, no matter white, black, Asian, Jewish, Hispanic, whatever, the entire police force in any city are nothing but white supremacists. They use white supremacy with crimes not even involving a white person. So Vivek made a statement, Sharpton didn't like it, so Vivek is racist. His name is Ramaswamy. I'm pretty sure he's not white, but he's a racist. Al Sharpton doesn't have to say those words, but that's what he means. But Hakeem Jeffries can call Trump the Grand Wizard, and that's okay. He won't take his words back. He'll just say, oh, he didn't mean it. He doesn't believe he's a card-carrying member. This is the Democratic Party of today. And our country is never, ever going to have racial harmony, if you will, until the Democrats see that they are the ones pushing the race card every time they open their mouth. And I'm not saying that GOP, there's people aren't racist. I'm not saying there aren't racist people out there, because we all know there is. That's their problem. They're wrong, so it's on them. But why is it on every Caucasian, every police officer, everybody who might have a disagreement with a black person, why is it race? Why is it racial? Why is it they hate black people? It's injustice. It's social. Stop your nonsense. The Democrats are for themselves. We've seen this over and over again. We saw it with Bill Clinton. We saw it with Barack Obama. And now we're seeing it with Joe Biden. And especially Joe Biden, because he does not care one iota about the American people. There are millions of homeless people, millions of drug-addicted or mentally ill people, but he'll continue to send billions of dollars to the Ukraine. Forget about Americans. America last. That is the slogan, or that should be the slogan in the Biden-Harris campaign. America last, foreign countries first. If you live in America and you're an American citizen, deal with it. Suffer. You're on your own. we're going to take care of the foreign country. And I could get into why I think that, but I won't. But I think you know what I'm talking about. So it's absolutely disgusting that we're still having these conversations and why anybody is even talking to Al Sharpton. Because every time, one more time, if there's a crime, there's a murder, a black person gets killed, especially by a cop, and they have the press conference with the family and the lawyers getting ready to sue, who do you see in the forefront? You see Al Sharpton. No matter what city or state it is, he'll get on a plane and go there to preach his racial hate when it has absolutely nothing to do with it. If it was a criminal that pointed a gun and shot at the police and the police killed him, the police killed him because the police were racist. Not because he was a criminal trying to kill a cop. Oh no, it had nothing to do with it. Cops shouldn't have shot him just because he was shooting at them. The cop is racist because he fired back and he killed them. That's the thought process of the Democratic Party, especially Al Sharpton and anybody else that's involved in their nonsense. They use the race card every chance they get, and it's always going to be that way until people wake up and see what's happening here. And I said this before, I'm not saying that the GOP is the saving party of our country. No, but something's got to be done because everything involves race. Person didn't get a job, the interviewer was racist. Person didn't get their coffee made right in Dunkin' Donuts, the person making the coffee was racist. Somebody flips you off on the street driving by you in a car, they must be racist. That's all the Democrats talk about. It's getting old and it's getting sickening. And quite frankly, I've had enough of it. But I like talking about it because they give you no choice. You have to talk about it and you have to say how ridiculous it is, because who could agree with that? Who could agree with anything Al Sharpton has to say unless you're a black person or you're a Democrat? And I know, and I work with, and I have acquaintances and friends who are black people. They're the nicest, best people you could ever meet, who would give you the shirt off their back. So this party, the Democrats, they pick and choose what people they want to talk about, I believe, but they'll never say that the black race in general is the racist ones. And I'm not saying the entire black race is racist because it's absurd. It's ridiculous. There's racist people in every ethnicity there is. And there's nothing we can do about it. But all this party does is preach it. And they point the finger when they're the ones who are pushing the card the most. And they know it. They'll never admit it because that's how they get people to come out with the signs and protest. And that's how they get people to vote for them and all of their failing, and ridiculous policies. And it needs to end. And that's it. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. You'll never miss an episode. Share this video with someone. I'd appreciate that because I don't know how many fans Al Sharpton has out there, but anybody who knows Al Sharpton knows he's always preaching nonsense and he's preaching racism, and it's ridiculous. Have a great night. I'll see you soon.